Just want to welcome everyone to today's support session. If you've been before, welcome. So happy to see you again. If this is your first time, go ahead and just let us know in the chat that it's your first time. Just raise your hand, say, hi, I'm new. And I'll go ahead and give you a rundown. What we're going to do is spend about 15 minutes. I'm going to do a learning lesson. And then for the rest of the time, this is where you can ask your questions. So we can ask questions about the learning lesson, or we can ask questions about anything else. Oh, welcome, Rena. We're so happy to have you. That's so exciting. Let me know if you have any questions while you're going along, but just feel free to enjoy yourself. You can keep your cameras off or on, whichever is more comfortable to you. I do have a preference. I love cameras on, but just because I like to see faces as I'm talking. But again, everyone's doing their own thing. Like, Tammy needs to go eat dinner. Paige might be driving home. Anita is doing something at home as well. So you have to do whatever makes you feel most comfortable. That's the most important thing. But on today's session, I also wanted to go ahead and drop the journal prompts in the chat for this week. So these journal prompts is just a PDF. They are fillable, so you can type them in as you follow along. This helps if you have a laptop or anything, but also just feel free to use the questions throughout the week. They're just really good introspective questions to be able to figure out what is it that you want to be working on this week, especially when it comes to the topic at hand, which is what to do after a huge fight. So today we're going to be talking about something that is incredibly necessary for the growth of any relationship, and that is the concept of rupture and repair. Now, before you guys all start rolling your eyes and you're like, Jen, I hate conflict. Don't start telling me that I have to be able to fight with people. I want to invite you to really flip the script on this, because ruptures, those moments of disagreement and disconnection, or even just full blown fights with our partner, they're actually not the end of the world. And in fact, they're needed. I know, like, it's hard to hear that, but they are needed. These tough moments are critical in building something real and lasting. But why is that? It's because in these moments, we have the opportunity to repair, to strengthen our bonds. It's not about avoiding conflict, it's about how we navigate that conflict. And more importantly, how we repair the rupture afterwards. Because today we're going to be talking about how rupture and repair are the foundation of resilience in the relationship. And the thing is if you want to build that resilience in your relationships, you need the repair. But what are you repairing if there's no rupture? So unfortunately, we do need that rupture. So by the end of this session, I hope that you're going to see how conflict doesn't need to be this bad thing that we all think it is. And in fact, it's how we grow, it's how we learn, and it's how we come out stronger. So let's get ready to dive in. Everyone, grab your journal prompts. Lynette, oh, are you on your phone today, Lynette? Because if you are, I will help you out then. I'm gonna if you see anyone new pop in, or if anyone's asking for it, or just like say, Jen, put it in the chat for me or something like that. I'll still have you be my chat guru. Thank you so much. All right. So I want to know, speaking of the chat, I want to know, before we dive into the nitty gritty of it all, I want to get you thinking. So I want you to think about the last big disagreement you had with your partner. Now, some of you, this might be take a little moment to have to think about it. Some of you are like, I just literally came from a disagreement and a fight, Jen. I don't want to have to think about it, but I want you to really think about it. We don't need to name names. We don't need to put anything out there, but just reflect on this for just a minute. I want to know, how did you handle the aftermath? So get your chat box open. Tell me a little bit. Drop your thoughts in the chat. When was the last time you had a disagreement? What did you wish you had done differently to repair the connection? How did you feel during that disagreement? Did you feel sad? Did you feel angry? Did you feel confused? I want to hear from you. Even if it was just, I wish I had said this, or I wish I hadn't blown up at him. I want to know from you, what is it about the disconnection that was really hard on you? And this reflection is going to be part of the healing process. So go ahead if you guys get a chance. Now, if you're all busy, totally fine. Or maybe you're thinking. So I'll come back and I'll check the chat in a second. Remember, there's no judgment here. It's just real talk, because conflicts happen. But how we recover from them is where the magic happens. So let's go ahead and dive into what we're going to be talking about tonight. So now that you guys are reflecting, keep reflecting and keep putting them in the chat whenever you're ready. Oh, beautiful. Anita says, I wish I hadn't said what I said. Oh, that's so real. I apologize, but he shot the apology down. Yeah. It's like, oh no, the thing comes out of our mouth and we try to apologize, but they don't want to hear it. I hate when that happens. Thank you for sharing that, Anita. That's very vulnerable. Thank you so much. And as we're reflecting on our experiences, and maybe Anita's story helped resonate something inside of you, let's break down what we're going to cover today. We're going to dive into the three key concepts that are going to shift how you view conflict in your relationship. So, first, we're going to talk about rupture. We're going to talk about and explore why conflict is not only normal, but necessary for growth in a relationship. And that conflict is not the end of the world. And I just had someone else in the chat say, I would normally walk away and not respond. Also, so real. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was a direct message to me, so I won't put it out there for everyone. But that is such a good point. Normally walk away and then not respond. That's a bit of an avoidance, right? That's another way in which when we have a rupture, we shut down. Lynette says, I've done that too, walk away without talking. Yeah, I've definitely done that. That's the part of the conflict that just kind of gets a little bit too much. But then on the other end, we're going to have the repair. We'll talk about the art of repair, how to come back together after a fight and reconnect in a way that doesn't um, worsen. What's the word? Loosen. That's the word I was looking for. Loosen your bond, but strengthens it. And then lastly, I want to talk about why this is so important, which is going to be resilience. We're going to discuss how going through rupture and repair together as the same team actually builds this resilience in your relationships. Every time you face a challenge and you come out on the other side, you come out stronger, you come out more powerful, and you come out not just surviving, but thriving in your relationship. And that's my favorite part. So these three concepts, rupture, repair, and resilience, are what we're going to be diving into today. And trust me, by the end of the session, you'll see that conflict is something to be kind of excited about and not fearing as much. And Rena says, I usually end up in tears and apologize, even if it's not my fault. Yes, I see this so much in women. There's so many times I have to tell my clients, stop apologizing. Right. And I'm not saying that it's not your fault at all, Rena. It's not. But this is what it is. Also, Rena, let me know if I'm saying your name correctly. You can let me know in the chat if you want to spell it out phonetically. I just want to double check. But yeah, when you're with someone who potentially is a narcissist, it can be near to impossible to have these conversations. So I want to be very clear here. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Rena. These conversations are for somebody who is not on the narcissistic timeline over here. Okay. This conversation is going to work for people who want to be a part of this relationship with us. So I think this part's going to be really, really important to know. So let's go ahead and embrace the rupture first. I want to kick us off with rupture because I know the word might sound a little intense, but it's actually really important. I mean, rupture is really what it's all about. It's literally breaking things down. And here's the deal, conflict is inevitable. No relationship is smooth sailing 100% of the time. There will be disagreements. There will be emotional moments, and there will be times when you're just not seeing eye to eye. And that's okay. Ruptures are a natural part of every single relationship. They're how we learn about ourselves and our partners. But here's the thing, instead of seeing these ruptures as something to avoid or panic over, we can begin to embrace them. Ruptures give us the chance to dig deeper, to identify what's really going on beneath the surface, and to uncover each other's needs. They give us the chance to rewrite old patterns, to get out of autopilot, and to really hear each other. So when the inevitable happens, because it absolutely will, you're going to fight. I can promise you it'll be tomorrow at some point in time. I don't want you to panic. Recognize that this conflict, this rupture, is just the first step in creating something better. It's a moment for growth, both as individuals and as a couple. Next, I want to talk about the power of repair. This part is so important. This is where the magic happens. It's one thing to have a rupture. I'm sure we're all very used to those. But how do you repair? Like, what do you do afterwards? What truly determines the strength of your relationship is how the two of you go about this together to repair. And how do we do this? It starts with vulnerability. And I know that that word is scary, especially if you've been hurt or frustrated more times than you can count. But when we allow ourselves to be open and honest about our feelings, it creates a space for healing. You don't have to be perfect at it. You don't have to have it all together. You don't have to say the right things. You just have to be real. And next, we need active listening. So, first we have vulnerability, and then we have active listening. When we've been in conflict, it's easy to get defensive, to shut down, or to just want to be heard. But repair doesn't happen if we're not actively listening to each other. I want you to really, really listen. Not just listen with your wounds, not listen with your own projections, not listen to find the thing to call them out on and be like, ha. I want you to listen without interrupting, without thinking about your next response. And I want you to really create a safe space, one that embodies understanding, empathy, and trust. And finally, make sure that you're setting the intention to heal together. Repair is about reconnecting, not just winning the argument or fixing the issue in the moment. It's about coming together and saying, hey, we've got this together. You and me, we're on the same team. Remember what your intention is. Is it about who's doing the dishes? Is it about, who has to put the laundry away? Or is it about connection? Is it about loving one another? Is it about healing together? We want to actually figure out what our intention is when we go to have this conversation, because otherwise it just blows up in our face again. So if you're in the middle of a rupture, remember, repair is your chance to rebuild, to start fresh, and to make your bond even stronger than before. And lastly, if we get the rupture and then we work with the repair, that's when we get to have resilience. And resilience is this beautiful moment in a relationship when you get to build on something special together. See, every time you face a conflict and come out on the other side stronger, you're not just surviving, you're building resilience. Think of it like strengthening a muscle. Every time you work through a difficult moment, you're strengthening your ability to handle future challenges. And trust me, relationships are full of them. If you know anything about muscle building, what actually happens when you're building muscle is the muscle is tearing and then reforming, and then it's tearing and then reforming. But you can't get that big muscle if you don't first rupture it. So when you approach rupture and repair as a team, you're not just learning to bounce back from conflict, you're building a deeper, more trusting bond. With every repair, you show your partner that you're committed to each other, that you can navigate challenges together, and that no matter what happens, you're in it for the long haul. Resilience is all about being able to handle life's bumps with stronger, more unified front. And the more you embrace the cycle of rupture and repair, the stronger you'll grow individually and as a couple. So, next time conflict hits, I want you to remember this: it's not the end. All of those big feelings coming up inside of you, those are all just your past attachment wounds coming up. This is just part of building resilience in your relationship. And the more you practice this, the stronger you will become. So, now I want us to do a quick recap. So first we have which one? What's going to come first? Rupture, right? Because we can't repair. What are we repairing if there's nothing broken, right? So there's the rupture. Rupture is inevitable. It is necessary for growth. It is not something to fear. It is an opportunity to understand each other better. And next, we have repair. Through vulnerability, active listening, and mutual intention setting and healing, you can reconnect and rebuild trust, making your bond even stronger. And with the rupture and the repair comes the resilience. Going through it together doesn't just fix things, it builds things. It makes your relationship more solid and able to handle future challenges. These steps are the foundation for a relationship that isn't just surviving, but thriving. And so now I want you all to look at the questions for the week. And these are in the journal prompt. Oh, thank you, Lynette. I was just thinking about, I think I saw a couple new people. Hi, Julie. Hi, Jen. Hi, Heather. Welcome. There is a journal prompt in the chat right now. If you need access to it, let us know. But on there are these questions for the weeks. So these are the questions we can go over tonight, or as always, if you guys have other questions. But let's go through them real quick, okay? Rupture. How do you usually react when conflict arises? So, when conflict arises, what's your go to reaction? How could you pause and handle it differently next time? And then repair. I want you to think about the last time you tried to repair a disagreement. Were you able to be vulnerable and listen openly? Were you able to actively listen and take in what they were saying? What could you do differently to strengthen that connection moving forward? And then lastly, resilience. I want you to reflect on a past conflict and how did working through it together actually make your relationship stronger in the long run? What lessons can you carry forward into future challenges? And I want you to take some time, think on these questions. Again, you can use the journal prompts for the week. You can think on them right now. Use them in your meditation practice throughout the week. Put them in your journal. Whatever it is, just remember that growth happens when we put what we learn into action. And that's the most important thing here. So now I just want to go ahead and open this up to any questions